everybody, welcome back to After Hours at Blondie's. We are alone here in the hot seats, and we're going to be chit-chatting away about some tips, tricks, our advice, our rants, our raves, our opinions about DJs.
We sure do have a lot of those.
So stick around. We're going to be going through kind of like a little list of all the things that we have learned about DJing, the world of DJing, industry that nobody really talks about. Or at least that we haven't heard.
Yeah, some less obvious things, potentially.
Yeah.
Some of it will be specific to Vancouver, but not necessarily, But I think most of it won't be, but some of it will be.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're interested in that, please subscribe. Follow every video down below. And let's go.
Yep.
Do you want to start us off with our first one?
Okay. So, most of what I'm going to talk about is kind of what I've learned over talking to all of these professionals that we've had the privilege of doing so with. So the first one I have here is having a unique sound is important, but don't be afraid to change it over time. No. And I think I kind of figured this one already, but hearing it from people that we talked to, it kind of just cemented how I felt about, as far as if you want to be somebody that has a brand and all that other stuff. Because, for myself, I've talked about it before where I wanted to just play what I want to play, and sometimes I'll play this, sometimes I'll play that, and I know that that's
like a whole bunch of different genres.
Yeah, and I know essentially that won't get me, if I want to get anywhere, quote unquote, it's not going to get me anywhere because people won't know what to expect when they book you or when they go to see your show, right?
They have to really able to rely on what you're going to bring to the table for that day.
Yeah.
Like if you're a newer DJ too, like they can't always trust that you're going to know exactly how to fit in with that particular night.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of hurt me too along the way too, is like, I kind of feel the same way. It's like, I do want to play all these genres. I want to play melodic techno. I want to play progressive. I also want to play like organic house. And then I also want to play bass house.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to do all these things.
Yeah, and you started off with one type, and now you're getting booked to play that. And you're like, well, I don't really play that anymore.
Well, I don't want to play that. Yeah. And then some people have it in their heads that I'm still a tech house DJ. And I'm like, for me, that feels like ages ago because I've spent so much time on Twitch just like diving deeper into these genres that I like.
Yeah, and if people go on your channel now compared to what you first started playing almost 2 years ago now, I guess you could say, vastly different.
Oh yeah,
vastly different. Just in the flavor of sound, the tempo, everything, the energy, the darkness of it. So you've definitely really evolved. And
it's changed.
And I think that from what I've been seeing with some of the people that I respect that have really stuck to playing a genre that may not have been like the hot genre back when they first started playing it, and committing to that and not deviating out of their sound is that because they've stayed true to themselves that they're doing much better than say other people who will just play bounce around. Well, they'll adjust to what they want to play. So I think when you are just playing to what you think that people want to hire.
What the heck? Oh my gosh. Oh. There we go.
Oh geez. Yeah, so I think if you are playing to what you think people are going to book you for at that moment in time, when the industry moves on from as far as what's popular, you're going to be, you're going to be left around because you're known for playing something else. That's what people were booking you for before, and then the industry moves on as far as like being the most popular thing, and then now you're kind of hooped, I guess. So
you're stuck.
So if you definitely just stay true to what you're doing, and that also allows you to master what you're doing, and then when you master it, then that's what's specializing, and when you get specialized, now people have to come to you for that. Yeah. Like that's like, we need that. I have to go to that person for that.
One way that I have seen people change genres like really effectively is if they put out an album first and then they go touring. Yeah. Because if you're just touring or if you're just playing your sound, I've seen this for like DJs who are like way more advanced than I am. Like we are, this is what I've just seen from professionals is like they're touring And if they don't put out an album, like their latest music being like, guys, this is who I am. This is a genre that I want to be now.
Yeah.
And if they just go touring and they don't announce that, then people are going to go for the old music.
Totally.
And they're going to be so disappointed when they're expecting a dub house and it's a drum and bass set.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I think putting out music and putting out...
I think that's the way Chris is approaching it right now. Who we just interviewed a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, so he's putting out, because he's completely flipped his genre that he play or that he produces anyway.
Yeah.
So he's released the album, and then I think he'll start once that's fully. I don't think it's officially fully released yet. I think we're a few days away from that, and then he's going to start playing that style going forward, I guess, or at least in the immediate future. So I think that resonates exactly with what I learned, what you're saying right now, what we've kind of experienced, what we've seen. So
niche down. Two of the good podcasts to listen to back are Chris's and Dana's.
Zeta, for
Zeta
sure. Those are the exact two ones that I was thinking.
100%.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so my
turn. Take it away.
Everyone in the DJ world, in the industry, gets paid, except for you, if you accept free bookings.
That's right.
Just know that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with working for free. Everybody says you should put in your time. You should put in your effort at the beginning of your career to prove yourself. That is what you need to do. It's like any other job, you know, in the audition process, in acting, film, television, theater, you know, any sort of art, you do have to be willing to do it for free. Do it for free. Give it out there. But just know, the longer that you do that and the more free gigs that you give out, everybody in that industry, everybody in that nightclub is going to be getting paid.
Yeah, it's you want to keep that as short a period as possible, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as closest to the number of one as you can get, I would say. You know, and I think that there's always exceptions to, like, if you're putting together a show or somebody's putting together a show or like a private party or whatever, nobody's getting paid. Then nobody's getting paid. Nobody's getting paid.
Free
That's
parties,
perfect. Yeah.
House parties.
Yeah, so I think that, you know, obviously there's exceptions, but the gist of it, like you're saying, is that, you know, the thing is I think what most people sometimes forget is that if there's no music, there's no party.
And DJs are an integral part.
And if there's bad music, it's a bad party. You know?
That's the end of the day. That's what people are going to walk away with.
Yeah. So
the memory of the vibe.
I think a lot of, especially the bookers, I think the venues, I think they need to also remember how much value good DJs are and not try to book the cheapest DJ that'll let you charge them as little as possible. You know what I mean? Just to fit your quote unquote preordained budget or whatever. You know, especially these big clubs that are pulling like tens to, you know, $100,000 a night in revenue, and they're paying their DJs, you know, a combined, you know, $800. It just seems like nonsense. You know, the bartenders are making that. Yeah. You know, in tips. So
and they're not the ones controlling the whole atmosphere of the entire party.
You could hire a machine to do a lot of what bartending. I mean, you already can have vending machines that serve alcohol. So why, you know, I guess let's say it could be the equivalent of putting up a YouTube playlist or whatever, Spotify playlist as a DJ. But at the end of the day, I think the value of having a DJ there is so understated. And I think in a lot of other cities that it is a situation where they're getting paid more closely to what they deserve. And I think also in Vancouver, I remember talking to DJs a long time ago, and they could be inflating their numbers, but I remember like people were like, you know, I won't play for less than $1,000. And I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I mean, but $1,000, if you're controlling a club night, like say you're controlling a club night and keeping the place busy.
Bringing in people, you're creating.
If it's busy, everybody's there. They're staying for a long time. They're ordering drinks. All that. I mean, that seems like still like a good deal. Yeah. To me, I mean, especially when you think about, you know, professional DJs.
The other day, he was like, "We're gonna make $15,000 on a party." Yeah. So I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, if you're working as a DJ and you're spending all week doing all the stuff that you need to do for DJing for free, and you're working once a weekend, maybe twice if you're lucky, you know, I think $1,000 per gig is a totally appropriate amount of money.
It's very reasonable.
You know, and if that's all you're doing, you're only making $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I want
to say, like, that is in our city with our environments, with our numbers too. It's not necessarily a blanket statement for the entire
I'm not making
industry.
I'm just spitting out hypotheticals. These are not even real numbers at all. You know, the average gig is like $200 in the city.
Yeah.
Imagine if you worked every single day you could possibly potentially work, which none of them do. You're still not even making that much money.
No.
You know, like say you did, you know, a gig Thursday.
DJs I know are like doing like 3 to 4 to 5 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's $1,000 a month. That's not much.
Yeah.
That seems like
you're not paying the bills with
you're not paying anything. Like my phone bill is $1,000. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not, but you know what I mean? It's just like in Vancouver, it seems like it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see more places offer, you know, base rate $100 if you're a new DJ, if you're opening the night, that sort of thing. And $150 should be the norm. Like when I first started, it would range between $100 and $150, and now I'm probably going to charge between $150 and $200, depending on how long I play or something like that. But I think going into it, like baseline Vancouver should be opener DJ. You're not the headliner. You're not bringing in people. $150 seems reasonable, you know, and if you're not making...
If you're brand new, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, opener.
Yeah, but I even think, I mean, $150 to me, that's like as close to free as you can get, you know.
That should be baseline. And I've taken free gigs. I've done it, you know, on nights where I know everybody else is making money. You know, people are getting paid, other DJs, but they're like, well, actually, we've run out of budget. Are you willing to work for free? And I said, yes. Because also, like, a little bit, sometimes exposure does pay the bills.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if you think of it as marketing for yourself, then it's a marketing expense.
Long-term gain, I'm okay with that.
But again, like what we're saying is limit that to as short as possible.
Few as many as possible. Yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
So next one I have, this one I really got a lot from Bryn and from Joel, was creating a community-driven space to get people who are in the industry to share and learn from each other.
Yeah.
To not only learn, but to get connected to people in the scene.
Yes.
And that was like huge. Like, and to think about how I met a ton of people through Northern House and, you know, just from that specific example and what that's turned into as far as the underground scene in our city. And, you know, shout out to Northern House, great Thursday pod. Yeah. You know, I mean, people should definitely check that out if you want to see some of the best music you've ever freaking seen. All the time, every week. They
have a live stream every single Thursday starting at 7 p.m. with Still London. He plays for about an hour.
Yeah.
And then they have a guest DJ from either Vancouver or sometimes international.
Yeah, like, they bring in people.
International DJs come through and they're invited to play at Northern House. And I got to play the other day.
Yeah, she got to play last week. Yeah.
But that is an excellent community building endeavor.
Yeah, and it's you know, you're there with other people who are all music fanatics and they're all, you know, so in love with the craft, and they're not there to see bullshit. They're there to see awesome. And I don't think it's ever not been.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's been a very eye-opening thing when Joel talked about what he did with what was it called again? Groundworks, yeah. And you know, and how he got started in the scene not knowing anybody. And that's how he turned that into like even turned it into a label, turned into this whole thing that, like, you know, a podcast, all that stuff. So I thought that was super cool. Like if you're going to go to a new city and just try to get work, you know, you're asking for value there. You know, you haven't provided anything to the community. You haven't provided anything to somebody who's going to hire you. They have no idea what you're about. You know, you can't just go there and be here, like, check out my mix. Now you're asking to take an hour of their time in order to even see if they like you. And the chances are that you'll just get pushed to the pile, you know?
Exactly.
So
that's how you don't stand out.
Exactly. So the whole...
It's just sending somebody your mix and leaving it at that. Or asking them for a favor.
Pestering them. Like, you know, I know lots of DJs that are always asking for gigs and they don't get booked all the time, you know, and they're very talented. So, you know, it's creating that value. It doesn't have to be like exactly like what they're doing, but
Yeah.
You know, even just look at what Koji was doing, you know, with what he was doing.
Kumo.
Kumo, and, you know, throwing events that are, you know, really
for
fun.
The community,
and
by the community, getting everybody involved.
Yeah, get your friends involved if you have any.
Yeah.
You know, we don't, but maybe one day.
We're obviously sitting here all by ourselves talking to cameras.
We ran out of friends or budget to pay the people that we had interviewed for.
I know. Someday I would actually love. I will be paying.
Yeah, of course.
To come on the pod, but
so that was to me, I felt like that one seemed like a no-brainer that I hadn't really. It wasn't really in the front of my mind, you know. But like now that it was brought up, I was like, of course, that makes total sense.
Yeah. Well, you want to create something. You want to give out first, you know. And I feel like. Oh, what was my train of thought? It's long gone out of the station, but I agree with you. And this podcast is kind of part of it too. You know,
I think we're doing that now that we listen to what they did. It kind of is like what we're doing right now. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. This was kind of my contribution because to be totally honest, I can't go out every weekend.
Nor do I want to.
No,
I mean, I do, but nor do I want. I mean,
that's a form of support, right? It's giving back to the community, showing up, asking for a ticket or asking for guest list or being there or getting involved. That is a form of support. Creating shows, putting on shows, doing that, having a producers meet. That is a form of support. Having a place where people can physically play and then, you know, have everybody invited there through the industry. These are all great forms of showing up physically in the person. But I don't always have that stamina. I don't always have that energy. I'm, you know, doing things, or when I have my job, full-time job, like I just don't have the mental energy to go out. So this is my way of showcasing and bringing light and community building around different artists. And if you like an artist, please go follow them, you know, and that sort of thing. So there's different ways of showing support and building a community that doesn't necessarily involve partying all the time, is what I think. That was my train of thought.
There you go. We got back on.
Back in the station. Ready to go.
I think, I mean, that pretty much covers it. I mean, we can talk about that particular point forever, but you know, I think it's
so valuable.
Go to the podcast episodes for Bryn Lydell and Joel West if you want to catch up on more in-depth discussion about what we just talked about now. Those ones were very comprehensive. They're so knowledgeable and talented.
Okay, so social media. Social media is so important to your brand, to your recognition, to social awareness, social, but it doesn't necessarily get you gigs. And when you're blowing up on social media, you don't necessarily, it doesn't correlate to all of a sudden you're going to be booked. And this is something that Koji has mentioned. Annabelle, she's on Twitch. She just had a crossfader interview as well. She was talking about it, and she was saying at the height of, you know, a couple of her TikTok videos were really blown up. They were going massive. She's getting tons of followers and engagement, and crickets. Nobody was calling. Nobody was asking. And so social media is one of those things. It's such a beast. You have to feed the beast. You got to give it content. You got to like put out all this stuff, but it doesn't necessarily translate.
It's not an input output for sure.
No, the promoters are like, well, I don't really care. But if you don't have social media, it's gonna hurt you. So it's kind of like this catch-22. If you have it,
it's almost like it's the bare minimum point of entry. But then after that, you have to do all the other things.
You still have to do the whole 9 yards. So it's just this is something that I've learned is such an interesting. You can have a platform. You have to have it, but it doesn't help you. But if you don't have it, then it hurts you.
So I guess it does help you in a way. In an inverse, it helps you to have it, because if you don't have it, you're screwed. But I guess at the end of the day is what we're saying is that you just need to have enough that, you know, there's engagement. You don't have to have like 1 million. I mean, if you have 1 million followers, you might be able to ask for a higher fee, but you know, 1 million followers is a lot.
Like it is, but it doesn't always translate to audiences in front of you too.
For sure. I mean, and the thing is, especially with TikTok, is a lot of those numbers are hyper inflated. You know, like
super.
I think 100,000 views on TikTok is worth 10,000 views on Instagram. It's equivalent value, and I might even be being generous to TikTok on that. You know, because the way that they fudge the numbers is it's what makes it so popular, because people are just, they don't think. They're like, oh, I get 10,000 clicks on this one, I get 1,000 on Instagram. Obviously Instagram's worse. Yeah, but it's like not real. It's like totally just the way the app works. It just generates these numbers, sometimes out of thin air, sometimes out of just the fact that you can like be on a video, and as soon as it's over, it'll either keep repeating it, so it'll keep counting those as views, because especially a short video that's like 10 seconds, you know, that's how I've been the view. I've been on it, and it's like the video's over and then it loops again and plays it again. Well, that's 2 views. Well, I didn't watch it 2 times. No, I just did it, and then like if I click out of it, it'll flip to another video. Well, that one just got a free view. I didn't actually view it. I flipped out of it, but it'll count that number. Yeah. So, you know, TikTok's a lot of bullshit. So, but I think with that one, with TikTok, you can think that you're killing it, and it's not. You know, Instagram is a little bit more valuable as far as like what the numbers. But it's also bullshit too, because you can get, with all of them, you can get fake numbers and bots and everything like that. So too. I think. So I mean, is it worth it just to get a whole bunch of bots and not? I mean, a bunch of photos. Just put it out there, and then to a discerning person. I would never, but a discerning person will be able to spot a fake account or fake followers very quickly. But if somebody's just flipping through, like, oh, I see you've got 10,000 followers, and doesn't do any like investigation, they might think that you're important. You know, when I had my old Instagram account, which got up to like 25,000 people, well, it was real engagement, real people. Yeah, you worked so hard on that. I was working, it was like a full-time job. And it was actually translating into work. But it's because I put way too much work into it. Like I put so much work into it. But when you showed somebody that you had like 20,000 followers, they definitely treated you a little differently if you just met them. You know what I mean? They're like, you're, you know, you show them the photos, and they're like, oh, that's really awesome. And then you show them, like, the difference between now, I got like 1,200 on my account now. The difference in reaction for my 1,200 account, because my account was stolen, guys. That's, if you didn't know that, it was stolen two years ago. That went around 2 years ago during that little blitz of stolen accounts. But anyway, when I show them, crazy because they're exact same photos. Yeah, exactly. But people treat you so much differently because you have that little number right next to your head. It's an evolutionary thing to see somebody with social status differently from somebody that doesn't have social status. Even if everything else is the same. So it's, you know, there is some value in that, but again, it's not a ton. You know? You know, and people don't say that my photos look better than they did before. It's just that if somebody, you know, if I showed my photos to somebody with a 1,200 person account, they still think they're awesome photos, but then I show them with my 20,000 plus account, they still think they're awesome photos, but they're like, ooh, you're like somebody. Yeah. So I want to know him. Yeah. Well, so that's how we met. No, I'm just kidding. That's why I talked to him. Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely, I think you can get caught up in the numbers a little bit, and it's just, it's way more fluff than anything for sure. Yeah. Definitely. Helpful, but not as much as you think. That helpful. Not as much as you think. You still have to get there behind the music. Like this is disregarding even like any kind of music. I know people who have like 6,000 or 7,000 followers that get the same amount of work as somebody that has like 60. So you know, but if you only have 600, then it's maybe nobody's going to take your account that seriously. Yeah. So. I think the amount of followers that you have do translate when it's like the longer that you have been doing it. Totally. Yeah. That is kind of like a social then it's credibility. And if they're real followers that like, if you get like, it's not about the amount of followers you have, it's how much engagement you have in your posts. That's really that's where you can make the money. Yeah. You know, how much engagement are you getting in your posts? And how do you get people to care too? Because there's so many accounts out there, DJs out there. Oh, for sure. That everybody follows. Like everybody follows 400 or 500 kind of people. Minimum. A minimum on their pages. So standing out and getting that kind of recognition and comments. You know, it definitely matters, and I think that's where the value is. All right, next one. Shall we? Go ahead. So the one I have is prepare, but be able to adapt on the fly when necessary.
And we're talking specifically about DJing
sets. Yeah, exactly. Okay. You know, actually being on the floor. You know, like I think you can get to a point if you're super, super, super established and been doing it for a long time where you feel like you don't have to prepare anymore. And I know a lot of DJs that I talk to are like, oh, I've been doing it so long, I really don't need to prep. I just go there and I just play. Go ahead. Sure. I mean, your reputation's already established, so you don't have to. Yeah. You don't necessarily blow anybody's doors off, you know, that point. But all the people that I know that kill it with their sets do prep. They put a lot of time and energy. They are, and the ones that I usually the sets that I usually resonate with, I can tell that there is a cohesive intention with where they wanted that set to go. And I think that it makes a difference. But you can also be like, well, hey, your set's now an extra 25 minutes because whatever. It's like, oh shit, I didn't have that much music prepared.
Yeah, this is what, like an hour and a half, I was going to go up, I was going to go down, I was going to go sideways.
And here we are. And then now you have to do that again for another half an hour. Well, what do we do? Yeah. So be able to adapt, or like if you think the crowd is not following along with the story that you're trying to say, then maybe switch it up a little bit, or bring some tracks that you're going to play at the end to the middle, or you know, maybe, you know, add something that you think might add to the story that kicks it up a notch, like just things like that. Like, don't be beholden to your set list per se.
Yeah, what I found that's worked for me, and again, I am just a little baby DJ, but what I've noticed is having a folder of tracks that get people re-engaged. You know, it's the oh shit tracks, it's the popular tracks, it's the ones that are just a little bit different that somebody's like, oh, that's kind of different. You know, if you've been going along on your vibe, or if you're trying to go down this path and then people are just not resonating, dance floors are clearing. Okay, well, literally if dance floors are clearing, like, you're not doing your job. So it's like, well, you've got nothing to lose now. They're already
flip
leaving.
It.
They're going out the door. You know, so just do something different, and like, it's okay to deviate too. When I started, I was like, nope, I'm so formulaic. I was like, do. And then kind of what I realized is like, look at the crowd, and how I prepare my sets now kind of is like, I've got a couple of tracks that I know go good into each other, that flow really well. And then once I'm done that little particular sequence, I look up and I'm like, okay, well, where's everybody at? What do they want to? Do they want to continue on the vibe, or do they want to go on to the next section? And that's how I've kind of like taken what you said is like prepare, but then also kind of like adapt in the moment too. And that's my little tips from a baby DJ.
Tips from a baby DJ. Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, we've played so much, to be honest, in the last while with friends, you know, and it feels like it's looser, so you can just kind of wander around with the way your direction's going. And I think that for me, I can see that if I go on a certain path, it can resonate quite well, and then it peters. And I think it goes with my attention span as well. Yeah. You know, it's like people's attention span with a certain, you know,
they're
like
getting shorter.
And you know, it's like you can be playing something that everybody loves right now, but then, you know, after, say, I don't know, I'll pick an arbitrary time, 45 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes. People are like, well, what's next? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've had this cookie. What? Yeah, a different kind of cookie.
Yeah. So. And I think that also, like, just a slight tangent on that is when you go to a show that has like 5 DJs booked, and then they all play the same thing. It's just like, ugh. Like, I mean, I was cool with it for the first hour, the first 2 hours, but now it's just like, come on, like, can we try to change it a little bit?
Right. It's like good on the promoter for finding like one vibe, but then that kind of goes back on the promoter too, is like, how good of a promoter are you that you're creating a whole atmospheric adventure within the adventure, you know?
Yeah. And I think with, if you're going to book a show, I mean, one of the traps that I see with a lot of shows is that they want to hire so many DJs because they're trying to get as many people that follow those DJs to come to these shows. It's just a numbers game. But when you do an hour set, like, say, you know, it's going to be a house show. When you do an hour set, like, you can only do so much. creatively there in an hour. I think 2 hours or hour and 40, hour 30 is much better from a creative standpoint.
I really enjoy 3 hours, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah.
Like all my Twitch streams are about 3 hours. I always do like an 3 hour set.
Yeah.
And if I go longer, I'm just improvising. I'm really just going off the rails.
Yeah. But the thing is, the beginning of your set's not the same as your end of your set.
No, but 3 hours is my journey, you know, and at 3 hours, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Yeah. You know, and then in person, I think hour and a half is perfect. For me right now.
Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because if you have a bunch of DJs playing an hour at a time, they kind of just have to, especially if it's this is the genre we're playing, they kind of just kind of throw out the hits, you know, whatever their top 10 tracks are, whatever you can get it
right now.
Yeah. Literally. And then that might be the same as the next 3 guys.
Yeah.
Or it'll be a similar vibe, especially if they all have to be at like 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10 energy. You know, if you're all like, okay, well, I need to show what I can do for 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10 energy.
And then the star of the show.
Yeah. You gotta put your impact. So it's like, you know, when you're doing that, it's like everybody, you could play the same genre, but they're all going to play the same energy unless you tell them, this, you have to do this energy, and this next one will do that energy. And, you know, I mean, there's a role for that, like where you can say that.
But I mean, then kind of you get a little pissy with the DJs too, because they're like, well, we're artists. We want to show.
I want to do what I want to do. Yeah, exactly. And I get that. I don't want to be like, okay,
totally understand.
It's like, okay, we want you to play an opening set. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, like, so you want me to play something that's like closer to elevator music than like club bangers?
Yeah.
What if I don't want to play that? You know, and if it's like, you know, I mean, then maybe don't hire me for that, but that's not what they're doing. They're just like, well, we need to fit as many fucking DJs, you know, into that.
You've got 5 hours, I want 5 DJs, so I got 500 people.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think, on the bookers, they could, if I were to book a show, I would have every DJ play in a slot that I think their signature sound fits in.
Yeah.
Or longer sets, less DJs. So that they can go on that journey. They can start off a little lighter, move into something heavier, bring it back down again, go back up again. Yeah. Because that keeps it more interesting. Artistry. Yeah, that for me, because it's more interesting. You're staying more engaged. Yeah. You know, I think, you know, might be on the more fussy end of things because I'm not going to get drunk and whatever and get high or whatever. So I'm listening harder than most people. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think if you play a show that resonates with me, being the harshest critic, you're going to get everybody in, you know what I mean? So I think that kind of covers that, you know, I mean, it's just like, you know, anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Prepare and adapt on the fly.
Yeah. So I think, and I think that with that whole point is that, you know, I mean, prepare and just adapt. I think I just went on a tangent. That's all.
That's okay. We're in a podcast, right?
But exactly. Yeah. So.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
You know? I mean, you never know. I mean, the thing is that, you know, especially if you get to play for a long time, you know, maybe you need to get into it faster than you wanted to. You know what I mean? Like if you started off like, I want to do a little bit, you know, lower tempo and bring it up slowly, and people are just like, maybe you gotta fucking crank it up faster, you know? You know, instead of like going like to, you know, let's say 1 out of 10 energy, instead of going like 5, 6, 7, 8, you go 5, 6, and you're seeing people are like, maybe it's time to go to 8 right away. You know, like just get to 8 and then go to 9 and then maybe go back to 7 and 6 and then go back to 7, 8, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Over the next couple of hours. Yeah. Oh, one thing that I thought was really interesting, and this is kind of not on our little thing, but new DJs really have to learn how to do the opening set, but then also still somehow, I don't know when, find an opportunity to practice your mainline headliner set. Because obviously, like, everybody kind of wants to be headliner one day, right? So it's like, I found it really counterintuitive when I started. It's like, I'm being asked to play all these opener sets. And I get it. I'm not knocking the whole
But your sound's not an opener sound.
But
at least not at the time anyway.
Yeah, my sound was like big. It was big room, house, tech house, big DJ.
Fun, high energy.
And I was like, wait, but that's not my sound. That's not true to who I am. And so I had to kind of dial it back. And I was like, how do I practice both an opening DJ set and also a mainline headline set? And I found Twitch was like a really good way to open for myself, headline myself, and then close myself. Close for myself. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think it comes back to one of the original points where I had, it's like, being true to your sound and have that sound. I think if the bookers are smart, they will book you for your sound in the appropriate spot. You know what I mean? And like that show I played at Hello Goodbye, like I definitely went on a journey. I started off, lighter energy, lower energy, more fun, and then I went pretty hard, and then I ended off like, a little deeper. And then the next guys came on, and they were literally like, like deep house Tulum vibes. You know what I mean? So it totally didn't work. Totally didn't. I mean, I guess it did work because people were there, but like people were losing their minds, dancing up a storm, and then they get, put in the jungle, and it was good. I mean, the music was good, but like it should have been flipped. And like I could have played the deeper house style music that I like to play, but that still wouldn't have fit because it's not dark.
I mean, I think you staying true to who you are is what's going to make you stand out as a DJ. I've said this from the very beginning. Like, I will just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. And I'll go for it even when I'm not prepared. But I think you, like, taking your time and really curating and figuring out what you love and what you want to play, like, we'll both kind of meet in the middle and just keep shooting up this way. Even though it looks like I'm like... I'm not, I'm kind of going all like this, and then like, I think just in terms of what I'm trying to say is like the growth of a DJ. Right. And that's staying true to who you are.
I think that's key. Yeah. I mean, I can give examples of, let's just use Dana as Zeta for an example, she was playing a sound that nobody was listening to 2-3 years ago. And now she's blowing up because, I think because she
down bookings.
I think because she kept playing it and killing it, now people realize how good it is, and that's just one example. And I mean, I can name many examples, but like that's because we had her on and she's part of our family as far as professionally is involved. She's an easy one to mention, is like, because she did not deviate at all from her sound. And
I mean, I think that's really staying true to who you are too, is like, people will eventually figure out, and once they listen to you, if you are doing what you love and you're putting it out for the love of it, like she was loving that progressive energy and showing the world, like, or showing Vancouver at least, like, this is a great genre. Just try
this fills up stadiums in Europe. Think about it.
Literally does. So many clubs, stadiums, and that sort of thing. And like, I think that's what's going to make you stand out as a DJ as well too, and like get booked. In the sea of new DJs.
All right. So what's the next one on your?
What do I have? Stop asking people for advice. And also
elaborate.
Go play.
Since we're giving people advice, it sounds a little hypocritical, but
I know, right? It's so funny. It's like when I was first starting to DJ and like getting into my career, I asked everybody and their mother, what do you think of my set? What do you think of my DJing? What do you think about the next steps? What should I do about this? How do you think this big gig might affect, this is kind of 2 years summed up into one little sentence too. I didn't ask about
all
every
at the same time.
Thing, right? I wasn't calling them every 5 minutes, but it felt like that. And so just asking everybody, like, what do you think I should do with my career? And obviously I'm brand new at this, but like, I'm not an idiot, and then what I kind of realized is like, everybody's thoughts about what I should do is really what they should do. It's not necessarily sometimes about me. And some of the feedback that I was getting on my mixes was like, oh, well, it's good, but like maybe you need a little bit more high energy here, and then like take out this part, and like, but that's your sound. That's what you're doing. This is what I want to create and put forth, and that's something that I have to stay true to. So that is my...
Yeah, I think that goes back to one of our the earlier points, was staying, true to your sound. I think you want to stay true to your sound, and taking advice from like what that might sound like is okay. But if you listen to what you did and it doesn't, and it resonates with you, then what that other person's saying might be better here doesn't apply. You know, it might be better there. They might like that better there. But if you don't like it better there, I mean, of course you could try it and then be like, well, I tried it and it doesn't really fit what I want to do. Yeah. You know, I think if you like the way it sounds, then especially if you are doing the work, immersing yourself in this music, immersing yourself in hearing other people play, and you're like, well, I hear that. This is what I did. Yeah. And then I did it and I like it. Yeah. Then I think that's like you said, you don't need to ask advice. No. You know, like not everybody is going to like everything that you make. No. But I think if you like it and you think that you have heard what everybody else is doing and you like what that is, and then you did this thing and you like it just as much as that or even more, there's going to be other people like you that will think the same thing. Absolutely. 100%. You'll find other people. Yeah. And again, when you, like you're saying, the whole point, I think what you're trying to make is with this don't ask for advice is that it's going to be what they like the best or what they think they should be doing or are doing. And yes, there's value in that, but then you're going to be, the end result is you're going to sound like that, like them. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and if you don't want to do that, then why are you asking? Yeah. I mean, I think in general, you want to ask advice from people who are where you want to be, where you think you should be based on the path that you're going. Yeah. You know, if you think there's a version, with you,
and then take that with a grain of salt.
For sure, because how they get there is not necessarily going to be how you get there, and nor should it be. Yeah. But you can see, like, you know, if they tell you something is like, hey, maybe I did this, and because I did this, it resulted in this mistake. You know, maybe that be something that could be a red flag potentially. If you come across that same situation, you would be like, well, I heard from Miss Yada 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 that she tried this thing and it didn't work for this and this reason. And I think that would be the same now. It's just, so I'm not going to do that way. That's kind of useful, you know, but again, it's again from your judgment. You're saying somebody that's in the place that you want to be, that you think sounds the way, almost kind of like where you want to go with your sound, but with your own flavor. You know, if you ask a bunch of people that don't play the music that you play or like to play, or they don't have the same taste as you, and you asking them for advice just because they're more successful, it might not be what you need to hear. I think it probably won't be what you need to hear. Yeah. No, I don't think so. Yeah. And I think also asking for as much advice as maybe I was asking for kind of hinders you a little bit too. Too many voices.
Too many, and then too many revisions, too many thought processes. You know, I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do that because of this and this and the other thing. Like, I was going to go submit a mix because I want to play at this one particular nightclub. And so I was trying to get feedback on it, and it was just kind of taking, like, no fault against anybody. We just live our lives. You know, it's just taking a little bit of time. And then when he did get back to me, he's like, oh, maybe change this and that and the other thing. I was like, okay. And then by the time I got to it, it was later and then later and later. And it was just like, you know what? I'm going to stay true to who I am. And like, thank you so much for your advice too. But I'm just going to submit it, you know, and if I get a no, then I get a no, because I was really trying to guarantee a yes. Yeah. And I was like, what am I doing that for? Yeah. You know, like you said, with feedback from you, because I asked you for your advice. Yeah. You're like, well, I thought it was great. And if they don't like it, then they don't like it. Yeah. You know, you're not meant to be there. You're not meant to play there.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's if they don't want to hear that sound, then you should play there. No. Not because you suck, but it's just you shouldn't play there. That's all. Yeah. You know? And just the situation doesn't mate. Does it mate? Does it mate?
Doesn't match.
We got there.
We're not drinking tonight, I promise. But there's something else out there for
exactly. Me, yeah. You know? And I mean, I don't know. To me, I think it's doing you a favor if they don't book you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because what if they did book you because, hey, you're a friend or whatever, they think that you've got nice tits, so they want to book you, whatever. And then you go there and like people go there and are like, well, we don't like this because it's not what we hear every time we come here. Yeah. And I was just trying to fit myself into their mold so badly. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So, you know, I mean, produce what you produce. And in the immortal quote of, I forgot what the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just kind of what we're doing with this.
You know? Yeah. We're waiting.
Yeah, we're waiting, but people are. It's resonating. The people aren't there, but it's resonating. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of mine.
I think I have one more.
I think
I have a couple more. So the next one I have is not really a tip, I would say, but was a point. Was that Vancouver has a ceiling because of how isolated it is geographically. So that is something that
I agree.
I didn't really think about until the point was made, and it resonated immediately with me because for me it makes sense based on my background following sports in North America.
Yeah.
You know, like teams that are in the Pacific Northwest have a much harder time with travel, with, you know, distance. Having to travel is way crazier than cities in the East Coast, metropolitan areas, where, you know, you can go from major city to major city and they're all like an hour flight.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they're very close.
So they're all very close, very cheap, very close. It's like, and, you know,
the weather isn't an issue.
You know, and if you're at the, especially at at the ground level, you know, if a club is struggling to book people for $200, they're not going to spend, you know,
any more than that,
multiple hundreds of dollars on your travel expenses to get there. No. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you want to work in, I'm just going to spit out a city name. I have no idea if this is how much but let's say San Francisco. For example. You're going to play in San Francisco. They also pay $200, $250 a gig like Vancouver does, whatever, you know, it's just it's all hypothetical. Yeah. You know, and they want to book you because you have a sound that's similar to what they like and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, here's your $250. Well, it's going to cost you, you know, $250 minimum to fly there. Another hotel room is going to be, you know, we're talking about San Francisco is probably an aberration of a place to choose from in this particular situation because their real estate's so expensive. So a hotel room, let's say, is another minimum $250. Well, you're now down $250 to do this gig, plus your meal expenses, other miscellaneous travel expenses, all this other stuff. It's costing you money to go there. Yeah. So why would you do it? And that's not the only, and that's just a hypothetical based on the fact that there isn't the fact that you have to cross the border and there's all the green card, visa, whatever, the whole thing so like ultimately you're stuck here in a lot of ways. Yeah. So and then like if you're going to play in the next major city in Canada, what is that? Calgary, Victoria. Victoria is not a major city. It's a town. Calgary is a major city, but it's also a 2-hour flight. You know, so it's not like a 2-hour drive, it's a 2-hour flight. Yeah. You know, well, that's still going to cost. In Canada, flights are expensive. Like, you know, at this time of year, they're closer to deal, this time of year, because it's holidays. It's the last quarter of the year. Travel is always going to be like $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 a flight. Throw their parties too. Is like it's just the busiest time of year. Yeah. Yeah. You know, if it was the summer or like spring or fall, you could probably find flights for $100 to Calgary or $150, $70. I've seen $70. You know, but you're not finding those flights now. Now they're well over $200, if not $300 sometimes. Yeah. So. Yeah, especially as we get closer to December. So that isolation that Vancouver has, unfortunately, makes the reality of the situation kind of stark because we have so much talent here. It comes back to one of our earlier points about working for free or these how low paying ththese gigs are. It's because we have so much talent here. There's a race to the bottom just to even get booked. Yeah, you know, like
because somebody else will undercut you and be like, well. Play for $100. Yeah, you know,
I'll give you 80% of the performance for 50% of the fight, the price, or even 100% less of the price. So it's like, you know, that is a big issue that I think it would be difficult to overcome based on the size of Vancouver. Vancouver is a small city. People think it's a big city. It's not a big city.
We just look like a metropolitan.
Yeah. If you just look at a postcard,
we look beautiful. We're beautiful, but we're teeny tiny.
Very tiny, yeah. And there's very little there's very little commercial base here as far as like, you know, money in this city. There's a lot of money in the city, but it's all in finance and real estate.
Other things.
It's finance and real estate.
Clubs.
Yeah, finance and real estate. Sure. We're not in the finance and real estate industry, and finance and real estate does not book DJs or, in my case, book photographers, maybe real estate photography, but that's different. But you know what I mean? That's just
I mean, unless you're a corporate DJ, and we're going to have a corporate DJ next week.
But that's exactly it, right?
You know, talk to her.
Yeah. But that's like a different kind of gig altogether.
That's not what we're in. That's not what I'm interested in.
We're talking about the underground music scene.
Yeah.
Corporate is literally the opposite of that.
Yeah. 100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I think in a lot of other small cities definitely have a ceiling, but because Vancouver looks like such a big city.
Canada, it's a Canada thing. Because if you live in the States, well, going from San Francisco to Seattle is easy because you don't have to cross a border. You know, like and Seattle's massive. Seattle's probably 3 times bigger than Vancouver. Yeah. You know,
easily.
San Francisco is like 5 times bigger than Vancouver. You know, so it's you know, there's more money and more people, more, you know, ability to diversify and find different pockets of groups of people that have, there's enough of a population of them that you can find your niche and make a lot of money. You know, here it's more difficult. It's more difficult, you know?
Yeah. We don't have frat houses. I was just watching James Hype's video. And he runs his like series. It's a fantastic series, but there's like, he got paid from a frat house to go do a performance. Like, we don't have frat houses here. No. We don't have that kind of like money in universities even. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not
as far as I know. I mean, I know UBC had frat sororities, but they're not like what you would see in the States. It's not like that vibe. And I know, and I know that the other universities in BC don't have any of that shit. And I think in Canada as well, it's not really a big thing. Yeah. In the States, it's a much bigger thing. You know, all the stuff that you see in movies and stuff, we don't get that in Canada. Yeah. It's
also harder here too with the ceiling thing because of all the laws, all the liquor laws that we have.
Oh my God, the draconian law system we have here is so stupid.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so stupid.
That could be a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah, it could be. All right.
I think we're on to our last point, which is yours.
Was it mine?
Well, kind of. The Twitch.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, one of the other ones was that because we have a lot of Twitch streamers that we know, Twitch requires consistency and engagement over a long time to build. You know, and it's just like, you know, a lot of people look at Twitch as something that is a way to make money. Yes, it is. Maybe 3 years from when you start, maybe if you're lucky, maybe 5 years,
unless you got really lucky over the pandemic and you made a whole bunch of followers and you built your community
but the
really
thing is
quickly.
even in that bubble, the people who did that were doing it multiple times a week, consistency, same time, same place, putting in the hours, being there, engaging, all that stuff, you know, and even with those examples, the ones that are making the most money are the ones that engage. They're not necessarily playing like, you know, the craziest absolute banger life-changing sets. They're playing music, but they're engaging with people. Yes. They're responding to messages. They're creating outlets for communication, you know, incentives to tip, incentives to whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a lot of work. Yeah. You know, it's a lot of work, ladies and gentlemen. I would even go as far
to say as like the Twitch music category is not even about like, even for DJs. Like, you don't really even need to be like a DJ. Like, I got on there because I wanted to learn. I was like, well, maybe somebody would give me feedback saying like, that's a bad transition or that's great. You know, so I wasn't really going on Twitch to like make it a career or something like that. And so what you really need to focus on Twitch is the community building because there is no algorithm. There is absolutely zero help from the Twitch gods, algorithm gods, to help you grow in
it's
any
all word
capacity
of mouth,
at all ever.
Or you market on your social media.
Or you market on your social media and you build organic following outside and you bring them in. Yeah. There is zero help from the algorithm. And I thought that was really interesting, especially when I wanted to start doing it. I was like, oh, okay, well, if I, you know, with any other platform.
For sure.
Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, you just create the thing and people will come. You know, that's create the.
Yeah, as long as you have the right title in it. It's like, I'm playing music, so I'm looking for music. Oh, look, there's some music.
Wow, music, you know. Yeah. But yeah, Twitch is so much more about just building your community, talking to them, And I've really heard, you know, of different DJs on Twitch doing things differently, and having more success with it. So planning out their set so that they can engage and they can have a really good set, have it sound really good, but that's a lot of prep work ahead of time. Yeah. You know, or like, you know, focusing on the music and doing that will not bring you as much success. Yeah. You know? Yeah, I think the people that are listening to the music on Twitch, that kind of audience is less concerned with you being a perfect DJ and more concerned with engaging with your personality as well. Yeah. You know, so it's not necessarily a place where you're going to get the highest critical feedback, but you may build relationships and contacts that you have for life. You know? Yeah, I've heard a lot of people getting opportunities because they were on Twitch. Yeah. But at the same time, too, like your audiences don't translate into real life. Yes. So that's also catch-22 there, which is really interesting. Yep. Twitch is such a unique... I would love to deep dive into Twitch with, you know, some Twitch experts that we might have on the podcast in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully, call me. But Twitch is just such an anomaly that it acts totally different than any other social platform, but it's so massive. And it's 100% community contributed, driven, focused, based, and even the way that you get money and everything like that. Twitch takes half of it and then you get some. Yeah, that's crazy. You know, which is wild. Wild. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how much those servers cost, but they're expensive. Let's put it that way. So. Yeah. Well, interesting. Interesting. What a world of DJing that we have found ourselves in, and all the learning lessons. Yeah, and I think, you know, there's probably a lot more in there that we just maybe didn't think about, but you know, for the purpose of what we wanted to do today, I think that we brought a lot of what we summarized a lot of what we've kind of figured out in the last 3+ months. Yeah. You know, and or over the past couple of years of DJing. Sure. You know, and too. I think that what this podcast has turned into, with the amount of knowledge and the conversations we've been having with people, it's been way better, way more impactful than I thought it would be this fast. You know, I thought we would get there, but I was like, oh, like, just like we were talking with Twitch, like, you have to do this, you have to do it for a long time before you get anything. And, you know, I thought we'd be doing this for a year before, like, you know, people would even be talking about it. And we have lots of people talking about it now. I love that. Which is wild. It might not show up on our views, but statistics. I think people are seeing the stories and being like, oh, wow, that's super cool. Yeah. You know, and build it and they will come, you know. I really hope over the next couple of years, and hold me to this, or even not a couple of years, but like a couple of months, you know, as we continue to grow the podcast, I really want it to be a resource for up and coming DJs and midline DJs to kind of gravitate towards and build a community around them. Because I feel like I see a whole lot of DJs who are really, really top end, Diplo, you know, Dom Dalla, Dylan Francis being interviewed and highlighted and having the podcast and everything like that. They're so high up there that it's like, okay, well, how do you get there? You know, you listen to the people who are doing it and making it happen and at that ground level. And then hopefully in a couple of years' time, when all these DJs get big, you can be like, oh, at 3 years in, this is what they were doing. This is the advice that they were taking at the time. This is what they were doing, not doing. And going from there. So even over the past couple of interviews, I've learned so much from everybody. And I'm so grateful for them to like come and share, and for you to come and share and give us all your rants and raves and reviews and, you know, so... I'm good for a good rant, I guess, you know? Yeah. I'm good at certain things. I'm good at judging things. And being opinionated and unfiltered. And very unfiltered. Yeah. I'll tell this story. I might cut it out, but I'll tell this story now. When I first asked you, when I was, so I was developing this concept of the podcast in Spain. When I was hanging out there, I was like, what do I want to do next? How do I want to get here? Podcast, perfect. I'll start it with two of my best friends, Reed and yourself. And Reed had to go move, which is why she's not a part of it now. But yourself, I was like, okay, how do I get him on the podcast? Because whatever I ask him first, he's going to say no to. Anything I ask him, I just know he's going to be like, not interested. So I was like, okay, perfect. I'm going to ask him if he wants to be the camera guy. I'm going to be like, because he knows a lot about cameras. He's a photography guy. I was like, I would love, know way more about the gear than I do. Would you like to become a camera guy? Nope.
No, you can't afford me.
Literally.
I'm pretty sure I said that. It's like, you can't afford me as a camera guy.
No, he was like, no, that has no interest. I was like, perfect. I'll make you my co-host. And he was like, oh, I just got upgraded. What?
Diabolical, this one. Don't let that innocent little face fool you. She's diabolical.
Hooked. He shows up early. He's on time.
I mean, I get to bitch and complain and people will watch?
Sign me up. And of course, we have our beautiful mod, Bobcat. Always working behind the scenes. If you guys see him in live streams or chats, always say hi.
And who's the one that was visiting the other day?
I've got a couple of mods, wonderful mods. Mila, I've got Mila.
No, not the mod, but the guy that was here last week. I forgot it just right at the tip of my tongue.
Koji?
No, like one of our guys, our regulars.
Oh.
Something.
Zarek Doolander.
Yeah, Zarek Doolander. Yeah. So
not a
we
mod,
met.
But
yeah, he's not a mod, but he's like on all the time. And Zarek Doolander met him in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Celebrities.
So if you're ever coming through Vancouver, the spots to find us.
Yeah.
Don't come stalk us, please. But the spots to go to, Celebrities and Gorgamish.
Yeah.
Those
and the Vault too is kind of becoming a thing
too. Yeah, there's tons of other underground spots.
So actually, while we're talking about just our particular scene, this is super tangent. We weren't gonna talk about this today, but on yesterday, Celebrities celebrated its 15-year anniversary.
That's right, 100-year anniversary.
Yeah, you were there.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there. You were there. It was a 100-year anniversry of this group photo that they took in 1923. Yeah, 1923. So there's a photo. I don't have it available, but maybe
you can Google it.
Yeah, it's a black and white photo. There's a cake in the middle. There's a bunch of people dressed up.
Yeah,
it's old Celebrities where they used to have the pylon in the middle. So they wanted to recreate that, and it turned into this big thing with the city. So I think it was, when was it? November 11th? 12th. November 12th. Because Remembrance Day is November 11th. So November 12th is now Celebrities Day in Vancouver. Celebrities Nightclub Day in Vancouver. That's how important these venues are to us. Yeah. It's like they literally provide such an amazing venue where, like, over the years they were saying there was like a swing club, like swing dance club. It was a rock concert club. Yeah. It was, everything. It's it's famous in the 20th century, or the 21st century, I should say, for being the penultimate gay club in the West Coast of Canada. It was gay club. Now it's not a gay club anymore, but it's not gay focused. Everybody's. I mean, it's all inclusive for sure, but it used to be like gays only. Yeah, and so nobody knew about it. Nobody would go, and all of a sudden they threw these amazing shows in there. And then people would go thinking it was a gay club, but it's like, oh, I still want to see this act. Like I still talk to people when you say like normies, and you go say, oh, there's a show at Celebrities, and they're like, oh, the gay club. It hasn't been a gay club for over 15 years. Like, come on, relax. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, not that it matters either. But it's not like it could be everywhere. But that is what it was known for. What was famous for that, for sure, for a while. Yeah. Well, when it was at a time too when it wasn't as that was crazy. Yeah, when that was acceptable. Yeah, when that was crazy. Yeah, that's when they were doing it. Yeah, Yeah, that's kind of why it was important. And not crazy as in like wild as in whatever. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like when it's culturally not normal. Yeah, that's when they were doing it. When the fact that they would push that boundary of acceptability, and they had a lot of things where people would go in there and like, throw stink bombs or throw ink bombs and kind of create big problems all the time because of anti-gay sentiment, and people would walk by and harass people. So it's like they were doing it at a time where it was a very, courageous thing to do. Now it's not like what are you, a gay club? Everything's a gay club. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like
there is no distinction.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I mean, there are places where it's gay focused, like you go to Junction or you go to 1181, or what's the other one right next to it? Fucking Numbers. Next to Celebrities, Numbers. Yeah. These are gay clubs. Yeah. But like, it's not like nobody cares. Like, it's not a big deal.
No. Nobody has the stigma that, it's not segregated in any particular way.
Exactly.
It's just that's what it's been known for a long time. It's still there. It's still
they cater to that crowd in ways, like they'll do drag shows or things like that, which used to be things that celebrities used to do. I used to go to drag shows at Celebrities, so they don't necessarily do that there anymore, but it was a part of their
150-year history.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's recent history too. So there's, so I just wanted to do that little shout out. I mean, for Vancouver, Celebrities is one of our more, you could even call it a mainstream club. It's probably our best club in the city, arguably. But like, as far as like, if you want to see a big act in a relatively small venue, because I think 750 people is its capacity. It's not like a crazy massive.
No, in the grand scheme of the clubs, like we've got a couple bigger clubs that can probably hit totally 150.
But you could see, like, if you're going to want to see like a crazy big act that normally fills up a bigger venue,
like even a stadium.
Yeah, you might be able to see that at Celebrities, and it's quite a unique experience.
It's so cool because you can get so much closer and experience that vibe. I really do enjoy that.
Yeah, exactly. So, shout outs to Celebrities, shout outs to Alvaro and their team. Alvaro is a music first, business second guy. I mean, he runs a successful business, but he is a scene head. He is an underground scene head.
Passionate about it too. Passionate. It's amazing to see that.
Yeah. So much respect to what they do there I mean, all of Blueprint's been staffed by people who are really devoted to the scene, and I've seen people come and go, but they're all considered family through and through.
They really do. They work so hard.
Yeah, my professional relationship with Blueprint was very limited, but Alvaro's always treated me with respect. I've always felt like I was welcome there as part of the family, and I will always bat for that team for sure.
Yeah. Same.
So congrats, guys. Celebrities Day, we did it.
Yay! I know part in the matter, but yay! Oh, that's awesome. Well, I think we shall wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up on that.
Please subscribe. Please follow. Please show your friends some love. If you have any recommendations, comments, concerns, care for a mint, leave it in the comments below. And we will get back to you. Until then, we will see you every single Wednesday for the live.
It's supposed to be Wednesday. Tuesday for the recordings.
For the recordings on YouTube, and all the other social medias will be linked down below.